Welcome to Pharmacy Operation Basics. I'm Joey Mattingly, and today we're going to be talking about Customer Relationship Management, or CRM. Customer Relationship Management broadly encompasses areas of customer relations and the impact of those relations on organizations. So thinking about things like, how does customer satisfaction impact business performance? How does customer satisfaction impact your brand loyalty? And how can customer relationship quality change, and how does it change marketing, for instance? The learning objectives for today are to identify areas where customer expectations and pharmacy staff expectations may differ. We want to describe opportunities for the pharmacy staff to improve customer service and build customer loyalty. And we want to implement strategies to handle conflict with angry customers and resolve problems to prepare weak customer relationships. So first, let's think about customer service and some of the challenges that we have in pharmacy. Using the phrase customer can sometimes be problematic. As clinicians, we often struggle to identify patients as our customers. When we also think about hospital practice versus community practice, sometimes we don't want to think of the patients who've been admitted and are there for our care are maybe not viewed as customers. However, over the years, as hospital satisfaction surveys and have really been implemented to try to capture patient feedback, which is similar to customer satisfaction. So how do we view the patient as a customer, and when do we move from customer or patient to customer and patient? Like, can they be both at the same time? When we think about community pharmacy, there's a lot of competition in the marketplace, and that really increases the value of customer service. People want to go to pharmacies where they feel like they're really being taken care of. The ability to attract and retain customers is a critical skill for any community pharmacy to survive. And by increasing customer loyalty, this reduces the number of prescriptions that get transferred out to other pharmacies. So what's customer loyalty? This refers to that repeat customer, the persons that really have an emotional attachment that starts to be formed with the business that they go to. So the cost of switching pharmacies becomes high, not only financially, just in the sense of now they got to drive somewhere else and it takes their time, but it's also emotional. You go from, maybe if you're always used to, John or Sally, who's your pharmacist that you always work with, and now all of a sudden, because someone's upset that you're switching, there's a little bit of an emotional component of that too. Pharmacists and technicians who are viewed as helpful and professional are able to increase customer loyalty. So again, it's something you can see from previous literature. And what else influences customer satisfaction that pharmacies can control? One of the common ones is the wait time for service. How long does it take for a patient to be taken care of? And that doesn't mean, running through a prescription dangerously fast and not being careful. It's about just addressing the customer patient's needs. So when they come to a drop-off window to drop off a prescription, or to just come over and ask a question about a medication, or an over-the-counter, maybe they want an over-the-counter recommendation. How long does it take your pharmacy staff, whether it's technician or pharmacist, to just acknowledge that they're there at the window? How long does it take for you to say, "Oh, hi, I'll be right with you"? So, just little things like that. What's the wait time for any type of service? When pharmacies run out of stock. So when you have something in stock versus, "Oh, sorry, we don't have that," that's a potential opportunity to lose business when you don't have stock. So, how do you make sure that you stock your shelves appropriately so that you at least have a minimum quantity to service someone if they need something? Now, with a lot of really expensive medications, that may not be feasible. If you don't want to stock your shelf with a $20,000 medication that may never get used, and then eat that inventory if it expires. So there's a fine balance there. Obviously, if trying to make sure that you keep products in stock that you expect to use, so that the patient never feels like they got to go somewhere else to get the medication. The friendliness of the staff can't be overstated. Just being nice has a lot of how people experience their service. So whether that's just helping find an over-the-counter medication, if they say, where's the bathroom, like, don't roll your eyes and say, you got to stop what you're doing to help someone find the bathroom. Be happy that you're helping them. Say, oh yeah, sure, happy to help, and point them in the right direction. And I know a lot of times when we're really stressed and having a bad day, it's easy to sort of bark at someone or bite someone's head off, but that really can have a major impact on the way they view your service. How clean is your pharmacy? A lot of outpatient pharmacies, if you walk through them, if they don't do a good job cleaning the waiting area, the counters, if they don't really take the time to really clean it good, if like there's dust sitting on places, that can be noticed. And being a place that's there as a healthcare entity, a patient that sees a dirty pharmacy is going to think, oh, like it's not clean. I don't know, like it's going to not look well, right? So I think just basic cleanliness of the pharmacy can have a big deal. And what about the waiting area? How welcoming is your waiting area? When I was a district manager for the Kroger company, I would travel to a lot of my pharmacies and notice, we had these televisions that were in the waiting areas, but no one in the pharmacy staff bothered to ever turn the TV on. So when you walk in, the TV's just sitting there. It's pitch black, not turned on. It's collecting dust. No one's cleaned it. And it just sits there. And same with the coffee machine. The coffee machine would be there. No one's gotten it ready. No one's warmed up a pot of coffee. Like it wasn't welcoming. So a lot of it was just talking with the staff. Like, what is your morning routine when you open up those doors at the pharmacy? Like, do you just run in and throw on the gate, open up the gates, turn on the lights and start cranking out scripts? Like, is it possible that we need to think about your scheduling so that when you schedule to come in the mornings and you open at 8 a.m., maybe you've got to think, well, maybe this work schedule should be opening a few minutes early, or, where you can kind of keep the gates closed, but you have a good open. You come in, you start, you clean things up, you get things presentable for the public. So just thinking about those little details, again, can possibly go a long way. What influences customer satisfaction that pharmacies are unable to control? One of the big ones that we think about are insurance deductibles or co-payments, or even insurance prior authorizations. Those things that the pharmacy itself isn't really responsible for. Like they can't control what insurance plan a patient has or has chosen. So, often they're the bearer of bad news. A lot of pharmacists and technicians may kind of find themselves as a middle person in between the patient and their insurance company, trying to communicate good or bad news. Like, hey, you owe $1,000 today because you got to pay your deductible, and you signed up for a high deductible plan. I didn't sign you up for that plan, but I'm here to tell you I need $1,000 or you can't get your medication. So that's puts pharmacies in a pretty tough spot. So I always advise pharmacy staff to just be transparent, be open, try to be a helpful source of information. Sometimes there's an issue with the prescription that requires the pharmacy to contact the prescriber. And again, the last thing a pharmacy wants to do is dispense something that they're not sure about. Right? If you've been given a handwritten prescription and it's hard to read, maybe you want to just call the prescriber and just double check before giving someone the wrong drug. So it's really not. It's not uncommon for those things to happen. So the key is, in my opinion, is for the pharmacy to be very clear and communicate anything like that with the patient so that they don't come back and wonder why their prescription isn't ready. If you've got to contact the doctor or the prescriber, it's always good to, nowadays our computer systems often let us send text messages to our customers, our patients. So you don't even have to call them sometimes. You maybe shoot them a quick text saying, we've got to contact the doctor or whatever, or you can call the patient right back and say, hey, just wanted to confirm, that I've got to do this extra step. And so it may take a few more minutes. I told you it was only going to be a 10-15 minute wait. It might take a little bit longer, right? So just trying to communicate and set the expectations. And finally, sometimes we have back orders or supply issues. So maybe we've told a patient, hey, I'm going to order this product for you and it'll be here on Tuesday. Tuesday rolls around and you go to get your order out and you just notice that it's not what you ordered is not there. Sometimes the pharmacy screwed up and didn't order it, but sometimes there's a manufacturer back order. The manufacturer has trouble filling the orders, and you're just not able to get it. So any bad things like that happen that you maybe can't control, you've just got to try to communicate as quickly as possible to the patient and then help them solve it, right? Say, hey, let me call around to some other pharmacies and see if anybody has it in stock. So let's try to fix a couple of these things, right? So pharmacy control, say we have long wait times. Now that first one, I'm sure I'm going to get a few folks commenting like with the staffing levels, and I, this isn't here. I'm not here for a debate about chain pharmacies or whoever's not staffing the pharmacy appropriately. Maybe there could be a whole other video for that, because there have been reports of different types of pharmacies that just maybe aren't providing a lot of pharmacist or technician help that's appropriate for the prescription volume that they do. If it were my pharmacy, or if I was the district manager and I saw a serious staffing problem, I would certainly want to address that. And if it's not, sometimes it's not increased staff hours. Sometimes you can have a pharmacy being extremely inefficient, and it's not about how many technician hours they're using or pharmacist hours they're using. It's literally because maybe they've got the wrong people, and that's a much more difficult conversation. How do you prioritize customers physically waiting? We talked about that in another video regarding queuing. How do we address the people that are right there in the store? Make sure we get those that are looking at us, get them taken care of first, and then trying to prioritize in a way that you can be more efficient. And the out-of-stock piece, talking about can you help address the inventory issue by spending a little extra time going, the patient may see that as going above and beyond when you've spent a few more minutes calling other pharmacies or just trying to help them find their product. And we talked a little bit about some of the things that the pharmacist is not in control of, but with these insurance problems or problem with the prescription, I think it's about communication. Health insurance is extremely complicated. Healthcare in general is complicated, but health insurance makes things way more complicated. Anyone who's ever tried calling customer service for certain companies that administer benefits, sometimes you run into some challenges in terms of just getting to the right person that can help you, and that's really tough. It's really tough when you just can't get a good answer. And so I think if the pharmacist and pharmacy technician can be a resource and can help explain things, I think that can help. And now, is it going to solve everything? Certainly not. When there are issues in terms of contacting the prescriber, sometimes that can get dicey too, because maybe the prescriber is wondering, like, why are you bothering me? Like, what's going on? And sometimes it can even put you and the prescriber at odds against each other, when you really just need to communicate that, hey, I'm trying to help your patient. I'm just wanting to verify, is this what we want to do? Is this the right dose? Or is this the again, there's a lot of ways to have that communication, but making sure the patient knows that you're doing everything in your power to help them, and it's not, it's nothing bad. It's just part of the process, trying to make sure everyone wins, here. So let's maybe flip it around a little bit and have a couple questions. I don't know, maybe quiz yourself and see how you're doing. So what term do we use to describe repeat customers who may develop emotional attachments to the pharmacy? Is it A, is that customer relationship management? Is that B, customer satisfaction? Or C, customer loyalty? Next question. What can pharmacists or pharmacies do to increase customer satisfaction and improve customer loyalty? A, reduce service wait times. B, be professional. C, be helpful and friendly. Or D, all of the above. I hope those questions weren't too hard. If those, hope that should give you a little bit of an indication how well you understood that video, if those questions were pretty easy for you. So that's all we've got today. If you have any further questions for me, don't hesitate to email me at the email on the screen. If you have a more public question for public discussion and debate, feel free to engage with me on Twitter. And then if you have other comments that you want to leave, if you're not enrolled in the class, feel free to comment down below, and any YouTube comments that are helpful for the class, I'll try to pass along.